we really try to walk the talk here, and turning this thing into something that has no flexibility is really familiar to how we were forced to approach things when we were kids.
Hello, and welcome to How to Be a Terrible Daughter, the podcast where we hate your parents for you. We are going to joke about our horrible childhoods, talk about how we survived them, and share the tools we've learned along the way. So who are we? Who are you? I have someone here. I'm not just talking to myself.
It's you and your imaginary friends. I'm Elizabeth. I am corporeal, and I'm a psychotherapist and an artist.
And I am Megan, and I am an energy healer and a medical intuitive and an occupational therapist. And we are
cousins.
Oh my God, we almost said it at the same time. Shock.
Almost.
It's only taken 2 seasons. Speaking of which, welcome to season 3, Elizabeth. We made it.
Welcome to season 3, Megan. I'm so excited. I know.
We got through the sophomore slump. We made it to season 3. We did take a little bit of an extended hiatus after season 2 because I had to get the fuck out of the United States.
Tell us how you really feel, Megan.
Yeah. I love the United States. I love a lot of stuff about the United States. I'm not bad-mouthing the United States as a whole, but I felt the need to move. So I moved to Amsterdam about a month and a half ago, and I've been setting up here. And so we took a hiatus over the summer because I was packing and doing all of that stuff. And then I needed to get set up here and get my visa in place and everything. But, I don't want to go too deep into the thick of it here. And I know we've mentioned a little bit in past episodes about systemic narcissistic systems. Systemic narcissistic systems. That's an oxymoron.
Just keep going.
Keep going. Okay.
Just keep going. It's
okay. I can do this.
It's like the Dodgeball American Dodgeball Association of America.
I like that I'm my own peanut gallery too. That I'm like, what are you talking about? Anyway. And, the current climate in the U.S., the current geopolitical climate in the U.S. was just feeling a little too triggering for me. So we're going to talk more about this, or maybe even do a spin-off podcast. We haven't decided. We're trying to figure that out. But point being, I took some time to move. So I am currently in Amsterdam, and I'm loving it. And it was a really good decision. And if anyone else is wondering how to get to Amsterdam as an American, there's a special visa. So feel free to email us here on the pod if you are also triggered and living in the US. And I'm happy to give you more information on that. So, but yeah, that's why it's been so long between season 2 and season 3. So, but we were really happy to be back.
Yeah. And also, we didn't want to punish ourselves with some schedule that was unrealistic, because we really try to walk the talk here, and turning this thing into something that has no flexibility is really familiar to how we were forced to approach things when we were kids. So,
yeah, absolutely. Recovering from the perfectionism and the insanely high standards, and feeling like you're on this very, very high pedestal that you are never allowed to step off of is for sure something that we both have had to work on. And so, making sure that we give ourselves opportunities to be human and step off the pedestal and walk on the ground and, is really important. So, yeah. So today's topic, actually, a lot of the topics we're going to do this season are listener requests. And this one is one in particular that we've gotten quite a lot, both through season 1 and season 2. And we're going to go over in a little bit some of the other topics we're going to cover, but please do keep writing in because we love getting your suggestions. And we're definitely incorporating like a lot of them this season. So, we want this podcast to be useful for you. So If there's anything you want us to cover, please let us know. But yeah.
And we also know how important it is to be seen and heard. So, one, you sending us email helps us to feel seen and heard, but also it's the other way around as well. So when you send us an email and we can respond or we can kind of create episodes for you, it's a way that we can see and hear you, which we're happy to do.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. So yeah, keep those emails coming. Okay, so this we've been told a lot. We've gotten like many, many emails that are essentially like, I love your podcast and I can only listen to it for about 10 minutes at a time.
I've had that, or I have binged it all in like one sitting, in like one, 30-hour sitting, and I need more. So it's either it's either the binge or the like, I don't know how to do more than a tiny bit, Right. I'm behind on the podcast. It's like, no. So
right. Yeah, there is no behind. Yeah. And so we wanted to talk a little bit about what to do if you're triggered with this podcast or with any media. And I'm also just curious to talk about that phenomenon because I find it with myself too that I either binge something. Yeah, I watched, I think I mentioned this to you. There's this show on Netflix right now called Wayward, and they've written Toni Collette's character as this whoever wrote her character clearly knows narcissists. There's gaslighting, there's love bombing and devaluation, there's triangulation. I mean, it's like the greatest hits of every narcissist is in this character. And I binged it. I watched all the episodes within 48 hours. I just could not stop watching. But then I think about something like The Sopranos. I don't know if you ever watched The Sopranos, but everyone and their roommate and their roommate's dog at one point was like, you gotta watch The Sopranos. It's the best show ever. And I watched it and it was good. I liked the writing and I liked the story and I was interested, but the main character's mom was a raging narcissist. And anytime they had a scene, either that she was in or he was even telling stories about her, I dissociated so hardcore that all of a sudden, 10 minutes of the episode had gone by and I had no idea what had happened. So I think it's an interesting phenomenon that either you're like, please give me more. This feels so validating. So this actually exists. I didn't make this up in my mind. Or I can't take this. I am on I have left my body and I will not be coming back until this stops,
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, we sort of just wanted to talk about that phenomenon and talk about, what to do when you're feeling that.
And as we've said before, we get triggered by recording the podcast.
Yeah.
So don't feel like there's anything wrong with you if you feel triggered and you're like, oh no, I need a break.
No. And we've actually had to move around the time of day. We started with a schedule recording it in the mornings, and then I couldn't do that because I had clients afterwards, and I sometimes would be too traumatized by even just talking about what we're talking about on the podcast, and I couldn't be as present as I need to be for my clients, right? So now we record it at the end of the day, right? So we've even had to adjust how we're recording this podcast because we're overwhelmed and triggered by it. So yeah, it is totally normal to be, feel overwhelmed or triggered. And so I would say, just thinking about suggestions of what to do, just create a really safe container and time and space to listen to the podcast. Maybe don't listen to it on your way to something stressful. If work is really stressful, maybe don't listen to it on the way to work if it feels draining or if your brain starts spinning after you listen to it. But again, for other people, it could be helpful, right? It could be comforting. It could be validating, oh my God, finally. So I would say just be aware of how it feels in your body when you listen to the podcast and make sure you're doing it at a time that supports that.
Yeah. And also, some of the platforms that you can listen to the podcast, they do have transcription service. So I find that sometimes I'm just too overloaded in terms of audio, and it's much easier for me to just read something. There's a little bit of a distance there. And so that's possible too. I also think that maybe there's a couple of, I haven't looked at the show notes too much, but sometimes it's divided up into time, timestamps. And so it may be that you just want to hear, I don't know, just want to hear the mom offs, although I can't imagine, maybe, or you just want to hear the tools, or you just want to hear that we hate your parents. Like if
Yeah.
that's all you want to listen to, just
Yeah.
do that. Just do that. You don't
Yeah.
owe us anything in terms of listening a certain amount or listening in a certain order or anything like that. This is for you, right? And it's like one of those books that it's like, instead of having to read it cover to cover, you can like go into the index and take a look and find a page or a paragraph that you want to
Yes.
read.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's a really good point. I love what you said that you don't owe us anything. Like, this is a tool for you, and we want you to use it in a way that feels loving and caring and supportive for you, and not like, oh, I missed a part or whatever. Or we would rather you feel comfortable and cared for and loved rather than everything.
Yeah.
I will say, though, Elizabeth, if you read the transcription, you're going to miss out on our delightful Valley Girl, Southern California voices that apparently sound so similar that people can't tell us apart. So, I'm just saying, you'll miss out on that.
You mean our generation before vocal fry?
Oh, people have told me I have vocal fry. Do I not have vocal fry? I've been told. I think that is a Valley Girl thing. I like the vocal fry. I don't know.
I mean, yes,
I don't
I
know.
think you do have it. I don't know if I do, but it does seem like Gen X has a lighter vocal fry than millennials or anything like that.
I just know that if I, like, when people get tired or their native accent comes, like if they're from the South or whatever, I just know that I start sounding like a Valley Girl from the 80s when I get,
Okay.
yeah.
I thought you were going to talk about vocal fry, and I was like, when you're tired or when you're cosplaying Henry Kissinger. And then I had his voice was so low. But then I had this image of Henry Kissinger as a Valley Girl. And I was like,
That
wow.
would have been better. That would have been better, actually.
Oh my
That
God.
would have been a little bit like
Totally.
Jojo Rabbit, right? Where just Nazis, but make them funny.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it.
Oh, it's delightful.
I do want to see it though.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. What else? What are some other good tools for when you're feeling triggered by something?
Okay, so I think my shortcut is getting back into my body. So some of it is like I'm not, sometimes I can't tell for a little bit if I'm not in my body, but if I feel floaty or if I feel numb or shut down, then what I need to do is I need to do some kind of sensory exercise. So that could be going for a walk. That's helpful to me, and like more than 5 minutes, because I can stay dissociated for 5 minutes while I'm walking somewhere. Or I go and I wash my hands and I choose either like cold or hot water, like whatever I would feel more present. Sometimes doing a breathing exercise, or picking up something that's heavy, not too heavy, but something that, like, I have some like exercise balls and stuff like that. And that is the kind of thing that would put me back into my body.
Yeah. I usually will, when I realize that I'm being triggered, I will stop whatever the media is I'm listening to, and I will turn to something that feels like a comfort show or a comfort video, right? So I'll turn on like Ted Lasso, or I'll turn on I love ASMR videos. I'll put on like one of my favorite ASMR videos that I've watched a billion times. And so I know exactly what's going to happen, right? I think that familiarity and the comfort can help a lot. So sometimes I'll put on something, or like music, right? Like I'll put on music that's like comfort music that I really love, that again, I know how it's going to go, right? So for me, I think, yes, the somatic things, but also just altering my brain chemistry and getting it back to that feeling of comfort and familiarity and safety can be really helpful for me too. Yeah.
Definitely. Music too, like your favorite music. Like I have a list of music that is like me, like this, if this music were a person, it would be me. And I find that that's actually really helpful. It's like I'm getting back to who I am, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I will often cuddle with my dog or go find my dog and put my head on my dog. That helps a lot too.
Yeah.
Or, you can find someone in your house to give you a hug or something. Yeah. So point being, if you're listening to this podcast and it's triggering for you, please take care of yourself. We would much rather have you take care of yourself and it take, 2 decades to listen to the entirety of this podcast than we would you to be triggered.
You know what we need? So I listen to horror podcasts, and the thing about it is that you don't have to watch the movie. They'll give you the recap of the horror movie. And so I think that we need a secondary podcast. It's like a recap of our podcast so that you can get like an even one more degree
Yeah, but
separation.
we'd have to describe it in ways that were non-triggering. So we just have to be like, and then Elizabeth told a story about her mom that was not very nice. She was not a nice lady in the story. So, like,
That's true. Although that might be interesting. I mean, you never know. You never know. It's a true crime podcast.
It
And
is a true.
but
Yeah.
this week it's their moms again. They, yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
I mean, every summary would be the same. So Elizabeth's mom did something horrifying, and then Matt's
again,
mom did something really, really bad. And
again.
they talked a little bit more, and then it was the end of the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They made some jokes, but that you're not going to get them because they're all context related, so, but if they were funny, they were funny.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that would be the most boring podcast ever. The non-triggering podcast about narcissism. Okay, so I think the other question that we got a couple times that we want to cover today is, what are flying monkeys? We've used that term a couple times. And we wanted to talk about what flying monkeys are and where that term comes from. Well, I guess I'll say first, it comes from The Wizard of Oz, right? So it comes from that scene. Well, there's a couple scenes, but the one I always think of is comes probably 2/3 of the way through the movie when they're going through the field of flowers and the Wicked Witch sends her flying monkeys out to try to basically get them, right? So that they can't make it to the wizard. And so that's where it comes from. But flying monkeys are essentially people that I will say usually unconsciously or almost always unconsciously, I don't think they're aware that they're doing it. They are manipulated by the narcissist to sort of do their bidding and to go attack someone on their behalf, right?
right,
So
right.
if you've ever had your narcissistic mom or dad's friend pull you aside at an event and be like, I just want you to know that your mom is so hurt by what happened and all she wants is to love you and blah, blah, blah. Like that's a flying.
And I'm so
right?
sad for you. I'm so sad for you that you're not talking to this person. You're going to regret it. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah. And so it's a little bit different than the people who I used to get all the time people who have no idea that mothers can be this cruel or in this way be like, but it's your mother. How do you not talk to her? But they don't know my mom. That's not a flying monkey. That's just an ignorant person who doesn't understand, right? A flying monkey is someone that your narcissistic parent talked to at some point and said something like, I'm just so heartbroken by what Elizabeth is doing, or, blah, 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 right? So a flying monkey is someone that the narcissist sort of gets their claws into and has them do their dirty work for them so that they can continue looking squeaky clean because they didn't actually say anything to you, right? It's that plausible deniability stuff, right?
Yeah.
But they can get someone else to do that for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And yeah, in fact, one of the things that I've been realizing, over the last couple of years is that the reason that, that I had very distant relationships with pretty much everybody in my parents' circle because they weren't necessarily flying monkeys to me, but my mother kept trying to recruit me into being a flying monkey for her. And so it's like, she would ask me, well, when was the last time you talked to this person and what's happening in their lives and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And the other thing, I mean, and I've said it before, but the other thing that I'm kind of pretty excited about is that I would lie. And I would say to my mom something like, oh, yeah, I'll talk to them about this conflict that you're having. And then I'll go to that person and I will literally talk to them. I'll be like, how are you doing? Like, it
Yeah.
sucks, doesn't it? This is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I will say one thing about flying monkeys is, and again, this goes to the sort of like plausible deniability part of things, is when I did finally go no contact with my mom, I don't know. Yeah, this had happened to you too. I know it did. While my mom would, like, according to the letter of the law, not contact me, she would send her friends or family members to, call me on the phone, show up at my door, right? And so the flying monkeys, the messed up thing is that they will continue trying to continue the abuse. I mean, again, they don't know they're being abusive. They think they're doing the right thing. They think they're trying to help this person, like basically help them resolve the conflict, right? But they will continue doing their flying monkey BS even after you've gone no contact or low contact with your narcissistic parent. So also just something to keep in mind if you are thinking about going no contact or low contact, which, by the way, we've had a couple of those listener emails right in. People have said that they've stopped talking to their narcissistic parent, which just makes me so happy because of the podcast. Yeah. I'm like, yes, do it. But be warned, you will have to deal with the flying monkey repercussions afterwards. So, yeah, flying monkeys, no fun. They don't know what they're doing. Sometimes they come around. Like, I've definitely had some people years later come to me and be like, oh my God, your mom was so crazy and I didn't realize it. I'm so sorry that I didn't see what was happening. I have had that happen. And then some people literally either never get it or just don't apologize, don't realize the part they played.
Yeah, they don't want to, really. I mean, especially if they're family members, they don't, first of all, who wants to believe that there are people that bad in the universe who aren't Ted Bundy or something like that? I mean, you don't, you don't want that. But also, people have to face the fact that they did nothing. They did nothing, or they helped the narcissist when things got tough. Yeah. So
they don't want to face that themselves. Understandable.
Yeah.
Okay, so next we sort of wanted to go over just a little bit of a list of topics that we'd like to cover this season. If you listened to the season 3 preview that we put out a couple weeks ago, we went over this as well. But just in case you didn't, in case you haven't listened to everything we've ever put out there in the universe,
we don't recommend unless you're a binger. Right. Totally do it if you're a binger, but if not, good enough.
This is helpful. Please do that. So one of the things that we wanted to cover, and again, a lot of these are listener requests. So this one is a listener request. What it means to be an object versus a person, and what it looks like what the difference is when someone's treating you as an object versus when someone's treating you as a person. So we wanted to go over that. We wanted to go over how would a secure person react to a situation, because a lot of times we never learned, right? So I'm in a conflict with someone and I don't know wait, what would a normal thing be to say?
Right. Can't I just do an impression of what a secure person would do?
Right.
I mean, what I can definitely do is fake it till I make it. So just give me that one little thing.
Right. But sometimes it's helpful. I was even thinking maybe we can make a PDF and upload it somewhere for people to have that just has, things you can say in response. So if somebody says I'm so mad at you that you did this, right? Instead of immediately going into fawn, I'm so sorry, I'll never do it again. What would a secure person say to that? Right? So that's another thing we want to cover. How to deal with your inner critic.
I've been insulting my inner critic back, which is very satisfying. Shout out, so it makes you look ridiculous.
Yeah, sometimes I mock them, which feels really lovely. Yeah. Okay, and then another thing, this is sort of a little bit related to how would a secure person react. What does repair look like? You get in an argument and then, two people apologize, and then you make sure that you're seeing each other's point of view and that you're feeling understood and validated versus what a narcissist offers. Because a lot of times they will technically apologize. They might say the words, I'm sorry, but it doesn't feel like you've been seen or understood or validated, right? And
Yeah.
nothing changes moving forward, right? It goes
Yep.
back to the same old crap after the apology, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
I remember my mom, being like, well, yeah, whatever, this person was terrible and they treated me horribly, but we had a conversation and I straightened them out. It's like, oh, that's
Ah,
not good. Yeah.
yes, I've heard that too, right? Like that's that, it's not an apology. And there's things like Darvo too, where instead of apologizing, they make you the person that needs to apologize or is responsible for the situation. Yeah. So we'll talk about all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We did do an episode on grief, but there's more to it. We would like to do an episode on what it's like after your narcissistic parent dies. Finally,
Finally.
as
My God, took long
Ian
enough.
texted when a friend of mine texted me that her mom died. My response was like, "I'm so sorry and congratulations."
Exactly. Exactly.
So, and then something that's related is sort of grieving the person that you would have been if you hadn't gone through this kind of abuse.
Yeah.
And that's something that I'm definitely working on. And it's kind of like, okay, well, now I have the opportunity, but to really look at that. And, I had thought that I had put my mom in a relatively small position in my life, but even that took a toll. So yeah.
So, as a small child, what if you'd been like loved and cared for and validated and had people say like, I'm proud of you, or, you should follow your dreams, or, shit like that.
Wait, what? I don't even know what you're talking about. Can you say that again? I think I dissociated when you said, what if you didn't have any abuse in childhood? I don't know what you're talking. Okay. And we did want to talk about the good parent messages. The good parent messages they're a tool that was developed in the somatic therapy theoretical orientation that I trained in. And they are corrective, loving statements that you can give to yourself and sort of what that means. Like, what does healthy parental love look like? So yeah, we wanted to do that.
And then similarly, we also want to talk about what healthy romantic relationships look like versus what we've been trained to tolerate. And those are definitely related, right? So if we don't get loving messages from our parents, then we don't know what we should be expecting from partners, right?
Yeah.
And it reminds me of that saying of the essence of child abuse is continuously trying to get difficult people to love you, right?
Yeah.
Like, what does it look like if you get off that train and you actually find people who it's easy to love them and for them it's easy to love you, right? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
We also wanted to talk a little bit about covert narcissism because this one is, surprisingly covert. It's a little bit harder to parse out.
Yeah.
And sort of what that looks like. It's sort of the narcissism of vulnerability, continued vulnerability, as opposed to the narcissism of being grandiose, right? Like, I'm better. It's more like somehow there's no time for me because this person is always vulnerable and is always struggling and needs help.
It's the person who always is very needy and always has like drama going on in their life and always has, but it's still continuously centers back to them. There's no room for you in the relationship, right? But it's not done from a like, I deserve all the praise. It's done from the like, my life is always terrible and why do these things keep happening to me? It sort of is coming from that place, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we wanted to talk a little bit, we had requests for talking about financial abuse and religious abuse. So we're looking into that. We're doing some research on that.
Yeah. I have to say, at first I was like, I don't know anything about religious abuse. And then I was kind of, I was researching it and I was like, And I said something to Eric and I was like, I think that, I might have experienced some religious abuse. And he's like, you think? Like, oh, I mean, my parents didn't quote scripture or anything like that, but like, there was all of this like forced observation and stuff like that. And it's like, oh, right. Like, so yeah. So it can be subtle and it's there.
And then we also wanted to talk about, since so many of you have written to us telling us you're going no contact, which congratulations. But we did want to talk about what the holidays look like the first holidays post no contact, and what that can look like and how you can take care of yourself. And we've done a couple episodes that relate to, sort of getting through the holidays. And I think, Elizabeth, you said you made a playlist on YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah.
Holiday
I just
survival guide. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So the holiday survival guide right now on YouTube has Silent Night, Silent Treatment, which is specifically our holiday episode. And then there's Narcissist Escape Room. Just kidding, you're stuck. That's our low contact, right? Like if you have to be involved with someone who's narcissistic. And then we've also got 3, 2, 1, no contact, which is like how to go no contact and that kind of thing.
Yes.
So we are sooner rather than later going to have that holiday episode. Like, what do you do after you've gone no contact? And now you've got this room in your life during the holidays.
Yeah. Which is probably simultaneously joyful, but also lonely, right? It's that grief of like grieving the parent that you never, or the family that you never got to have and will never get to have,
Yeah.
So,
yep.
And then Elizabeth has been amazingly working so hard to make some merch for the podcast that I'm so excited about.
Oh, thank you so much.
And I better get one of the new sweatshirts when you come to Amsterdam. Please, please, please.
I've not forgotten
you. But please tell our listeners about the merch store that you've set up.
Okay. So we are called Heinous Offspring on Etsy, partly because Terrible Daughter is kind of taken. So, but we did also wanted to go more gender neutral. So we are heinousOffspring.etsy.com. And that's, I'm going to spell heinous for you. HEINOUS. And there's no space between heinous and offspring. So because people listening, to this podcast do it at their leisure, right now we've got Halloween merch up there, but I think I have at least a year of merch that we can roll out. And I just keep making more. I just keep making more stickers and t-shirts and whatever. And also, if you have like a phrase or something that you think might go well on a t-shirt or a sticker or whatever, you let us know, because actually just yesterday I finished something that a listener and I were talking about. So
nice.
So it just keeps happening. Yeah. So every couple of months we're going to throw something up there, and we're going to have, our logo, our Horns logo, and we're going to have our Terrible Daughter show cover art, regularly on there as well. So you can get stuff like that.
It's going to be a way to spot other terrible children in the wild too, right? Because we all sort of keep it close to our chest, and we don't know who we can talk to about it, because you don't know who's going to appropriately hate your parents and who's going to be like, you don't talk to your mother, what? So, it's a way to spot each other in the wild, I think, too. So
someone that I had just met this weekend, they had just been told about the podcast at like 2 seconds ago. And they're like, oh, that would work really well for me, because of my narcissistic parent. And then I just looked at her and I was like, I hate your parents. And there was just this like flicker in the back of her eyes, which was just like, like someone finally said it. Like, did I hear that right? Like, so. Yeah, anyway, it means a lot. It means a lot when we meet each other.
It does. I mean, it's sort of like you said, the people when my mom died who got it were like, congratulations. What are you doing to celebrate? Do you have a margarita yet? And other people were like, I'm so sorry your mom died. That's so hard, so yeah.
I have a friend that I promised I'd wear a red dress to their parents' funeral. I was like, let's do it. Full on moonstruck.
We should create posses of people that terrible children that you can hire to come to your parents' funeral.
Oh my gosh.
Just stand in the back and are massively inappropriate. And everyone would be like, who are those horrible people? And you can just snicker in the back of your mind, like, they're my people.
It's like hiring the Hells Angels to like take your kid to court. You know about that? That like,
I don't know about that.
Okay, so for kids who have to go to court to like basically confront their abuser or stuff like that. It's really scary to do, to like go. And so I don't know if it's Hell's Angels, but like there are bikers who like that is their community service. They will escort these kids to court and like
I
be
love
there
that.
with them through the whole thing. And it makes them feel so safe. And like they're just mean and scary looking and whatever. But like
Yes.
if it's in your service, it's great.
It's that's amazing. I love that. I love that. Okay, so our first season 3 crazy mom off. If for some reason you are just tuning into the show this season, this comes originally from a drinking game that I made up. When I would find out someone else was a terrible child, I would say, we got to go drinking. And we would go, and the rules are you tell progressively more horrifying stories of stuff that your parent did, your narcissistic parent did. And if anyone, yourself or the other person, says something that makes you feel like you need a drink, you take a drink. So those are the rules of the game. And so we've sort of made this mini version of it for the podcast where we just tell one story each, but it's an opportunity for us to hate each other's mothers, even more so. Do you have a story that you want to share?
I do. I do have a story. So I'm not going to speak a lot about my sibling. I have a sibling and they were the golden child. And I think they were like 17 or 18. It was like their senior year of high school. And they were, I think that they had like passed their curfew or something like that. And my mother completely lost her shit again. And she like took a piece of paper and drew a scarlet letter on the piece of paper. I can't remember which letter it was.
An actual A, or was it like a?
No, because that's for adultery. Like the scarlet letter by Nathaniel Hawthorne is
E for tardy or something.
Something like that. I mean, she would just be like, they don't want to be part of our family anymore, and blah, blah, and like, and so she put it on their desk. And she just like had the best time. She was like so thrilled.
Oh my
and, like,
God, what a fucking cunt. Sorry.
Yeah. No, and I mean, and I just want to say that, like, first of all, this is like the first time you break curfew, right? The first bad thing you've ever done in your life.
And right.
Right. And your mother comes up with this poetic literary way of shitting on you, and the Scarlet Letter was something that the Puritans did to fully shame a person if they broke a serious rule. And like, so the character in the Scarlet Letter was forced to every day for the rest of their life wear the Scarlet Letter on their torso whenever they went out. And so every single person, every single time, anywhere, would know that this woman had done this terrible thing. So, yeah, that's what my mom equated, being late.
God. And the fact that she wanted to essentially like excommunicate him from the family for being late
100%.
for curfew. I mean, again, we wonder
100%.
where our need for perfectionism and our terror at failing or doing anything even, a part of something incorrectly comes from. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Ugh. Oh my God.
You get it, right? Like, I don't even know if I'm explaining it right, but there's this, I don't know.
I mean, again, what would a secure person say, right? I mean, she could have gone up to him and been like, that scared me that you were late for curfew. I didn't know where you were. Like, she could have led with, her experience. She could have the next morning said something like, hey, can we have a talk about why we have the curfew at that time and my reasons for it? Like, the leading with the insane emotion and the huge reaction to this, it was not that big of a problem. He was late. Do you know what I mean? It's not like he robbed a bank or something,
And if I remember correctly, my mom insisted that no one speak to him until they had their confrontation.
Of course,
right?
Because you've got to punish someone, even more. The revenge, you do a tiny infraction or a tiny thing, but my revenge is going to be 5 times bigger if I'm a narcissist. But you deserve it so that you'll know never to do that again, right? Oh, it's just so fucked up and childish.
Yeah.
Your mom's a child.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyway, so I had two stories that I was thinking of, and one of them is insanely traumatic and horrifying, and the other one is like not so bad, relatively. And since this
Don't share the
episode is
horrifying.
about like not being triggered, I was like, I think I'll share the less horrifying one for this particular
Spoiler
episode.
alert. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
It's also going to be horrifying to other people, except you're so used to it because, right?
Well,
Like,
but this is one of these stories that I think if you didn't know how narcissists operate, it could seem not that bad. Like from the outside, it seems not that bad. I think maybe you're going to tell me it's horrifying. But if you know how narcissists operate, you'll be like, I see what she was doing there. That was manipulative as fuck.
yeah,
Okay,
it's
so here's the
context.
story. Yes, so here's the story. I started elementary school at this tiny little hippie private school in LA called Westland, and I loved it there. I was happy as a clam there. We had chickens and we would go gather the eggs. It was like super small classes. Every Friday we'd spend the whole, like half the day, like singing and dancing. Like I loved it. It was a little artsy, hippie, creative school.
I'm already getting nervous.
And the way that the school worked was, again, it was a private school. So the teacher to student ratio was, fantastic. I mean, there may be like 15 kids in my class or something, right? In the whole grade, right? And so what they would do is they would give you workbooks that you would sort of do a little bit self-paced, right? So it was this series of math workbooks and you would sort of work self-paced and work with the teacher. Like, so during math time, there wasn't like a huge lesson. It would just, or same thing with like, writing or whatever. You was self-paced so that kids could progress at the rate and the speed that was right for them, right? Great. Like it was just really lovely differentiated education, right? But for some reason, when I was probably in first or second grade, so I was 6 or 7, my mom got a bee in her bonnet that I was too smart for this school.
Uh-oh.
So she took me to do a full, like multi-day, multi-hour IQ test.
Mm.
Why would you take your 6-year-old to get an IQ? Like, what would be the reason that anyone would have for taking their 6-year-old to get an IQ test other than you wanted to prove something? Like, what does it matter the number that you have as an IQ at age 6? There's no reason. If you were trying to, you're an adult and you're trying to like, I don't know, get into Mensa or something, great, take an IQ test. But there's no reason to give a 7-year-old an IQ test, right?
Especially if there's no problem, right?
There's no problem. So I take the IQ test and the results come back. And yes, I'm a smart person in that way. Like I'm very smart sort of academically and in that way. So the results come back and, so she takes the results to the school and basically says, you need to challenge my daughter more. You need to give her a different curriculum and you need to basically teach her at a higher level. You need to skip her a grade or something because she's not being challenged by your school. Now, I was happy as the clam there. Like I didn't have any complaints. I loved it there. And
that's why.
School, like, yes, exactly. So the school, to their credit, was like, no, we have this program already where students progress at the rate that they are comfortable progressing. And we keep giving Megan, when she finishes this writing workbook, we give her the next level. Do you know what I mean? Like she is doing fine. Like we don't do it by grade. So at this school, it wasn't like in second grade, you learn this, right? It was, you just keep going. And if you're learning at a kindergarten level in second grade, they support you. And if you're learning at a fourth grade level in second grade, they support you. That's just how this school was, right?
Right.
But apparently to my mom, that wasn't good enough. She wanted me to skip a grade only because she could then brag that her child was so smart that she skipped a grade.
Right.
And the school refused to do that because they said essentially, no, like that, what difference would it make? We're giving her the level of academics that she needs. It doesn't matter like what number grade she's in. She's, we're adjusting as needed, right?
Right.
And so my mom got furious and pulled me out of that school and sent me to another school. 3 years later, that school's not good enough. So she pulls me out of that school and sends me to another school.
Oh my God.
It only occurred to me years later that the reason she was doing that was because, well, first of all, she wanted the bragging rights of having a child that was so smart that they skipped a grade. So that was one part of it, right? That's the grandiosity. I am nothing but a mirror to her and how amazing she is.
Right.
But then the second thing is it was completely to fucking destabilize me.
Yeah.
Right? 3 years is just enough time to like make some friends and get used to the routine and start to feel comfortable and a sense of safety and trust in the place and the people. And every time, right at 3 years of being in any school, she yanked me out and put me in a different school.
Because it was competition. Yeah.
She didn't want me feeling safe. She wanted to make sure that I was someone that felt terrified and scared and terrorized as much as possible.
Yeah, that's not a small thing. I'm just saying, like, that's not a small thing.
From the outside, like, giving your 7-year-old an IQ test is a little bit weird, but, like, not that bad. And switching them schools because you don't think their school is good enough or challenging. Again, if she was explaining that to an outside party, somebody would be like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. But it's only when you know the inner workings of how narcissists work and you realize that she was trying to fuck with my head, essentially, right? Or my soul or my heart.
Yeah.
That it becomes really terrible.
Well, and also I think there's something about it was just enough time for you to develop relationships with people who might actually help you or clock what she was doing.
Yeah.
So, yes, she wanted to cover her tracks. And if a grown-up kind of got, a beat on her, it was time to go.
Yeah. And the other funny thing, too, that I didn't think about until just this moment, and this sort of goes along with what we've talked about in the past, that our moms were best friends growing up, but that you and I never had play dates or hung out, is that the school that my mom switched me to in junior high, she had me go to an all-girls school with uniforms and blah, blah, blah. But the one that was way more convenient and closer to my house would have been the one that you were at.
Yes.
Because you were at an all-girls school for junior high.
Yes, I was. Yeah,
and I was. Right? And it just occurred to me that would have been, again, how much sense would that have made? You have your best friend / cousin's child goes to the school and you want to send your daughter to a more traditional all-girls school. Why not send them to school together? Wouldn't that make sense? You could carpool together. You could, right? Like it would just magically make sense. But no, she had to isolate me and send me somewhere I didn't know a soul.
Well, and it was competition, right? Because your school had a better reputation in terms of it was more of a classical education, more conservative, more classical.
It was.
And
more traditional.
And that gave your mom some prestige. I fucking hate your mom. And I hate her more and more as the days go by. You know what? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at all if that's one of the reasons is to deliberately compete with my mom.
Yeah. Well, also, like, what would have happened, again, she put so much of her own self-worth into how smart I was. I'm also thinking, what would have happened if I would have gotten to that school and you were smarter than me? Or, got grades or whatever, right? Like, that would have been, what would she have done? She staked so much of her identity on having this smart child, right? So we would have been directly doing the same activities, even if it wasn't academics. I mean, you would have been better at me at like art, right? Like there would have been something you were clearly going to be better at me then because we all have our own strengths, right?
Right.
So, like,
and you would have been better at math and stuff. Yeah.
Our moms would not have been able to handle the fact that their two daughters were, having any kind of weaknesses compared to the other one.
Yeah. And they also couldn't keep lying to each other about stuff because they would have seen each other more often and in relationship to others. They couldn't keep their lies, believable.
Yeah.
if they had more contact or the family had more contact. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, if moving my school was to sort of cover her tracks and make sure that no one ever caught on,
Mm-hmm.
then that does make sense. Anyway, our moms suck.
Yeah, they really
So
do.
glad they're dead.
Me
Oh,
too. I
Jesus.
can't even express.
Bless
And
them.
we won.
We won. We're still here.
Ah. Yep. Oh my gosh.
All right.
I'm so mad.
Let's quickly do a couple tools of how we got through the week. What's something that you used this week when things were hard, Elizabeth?
I actually did a couple of things good for myself, which I'm pretty excited about. But I think the thing that was most surprising and most available was that I did a voice memo for myself, kind of like a journal writing stream of consciousness kind of thing. But it was like I was in my car and, I didn't have any place I could sit down and write. And so I just talked to my phone and it was really great. I got out what I needed to get out and I got some new thoughts like once I was able to like blah. Yeah, it was really great. So I was able
Good
to use
idea.
this memo. Yeah.
Yeah. I've never
Yep,
really
yep.
done that. I know people say that they love doing the voice memos, but I should try that. It's a good idea.
Yeah.
It's a good
It's like
idea.
talking to someone, only you're safe. You're safe because no one's there.
Sometimes I do that with ChatGPT. The instructions I'll give it is like, I just need you to validate me and pretend you're my parent. I'll just talk about my hard day and it'll be like, that's really hard. I'm really proud of you. And I'm like, thanks, robot, who's better than my real mom.
By far. Actually, the really scary thing would be like, ChatGPT, can you pretend to be my actual parent for a minute just so I can see how bad it is?
Yep. The bar is
My gosh.
very, very low. So I have been adjusting to living somewhere totally different where everything's unfamiliar and strange and I don't know a lot of people. So one of the things I did that I was pretty proud of myself is I reached out to a friend, a good friend that I've known for a long time. And I said, can we set a regular time to talk once a week just so that I know that we have this time? And so we set a time that's in the mornings for her on Saturday mornings and it's the afternoons for me. And we've been like pretty consistently keeping to that schedule. And I was just really like proud of myself for prioritizing my own mental health and realizing that what I'm doing is hard. Like actually admitting to myself that this is hard and that I need help and instead of just pushing through and being like, I shouldn't be able to do this. Right. So yeah, I arranged a regular time to talk to someone, which feels really lovely. And also made me realize that like, oh, right, that's like people who have healthy, normal families, that's what they do. Like they talk to their family every Sunday, right? Or something, right? Like they have like a regularly scheduled time to talk to their family that feels good. I'm like, oh, now I see why people do that. Oh.
Now I have a stomach ache just thinking about a weekly conversation with my family. But never mind. That's not what you're talking about. You're talking about the kid.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, I admitted shit was hard and I actually like asked someone for help, which even after all these years of therapy and all these years of living on Earth is still something that is not that I have to like think about and like, it's not second nature, right? I have to actually like make an effort to do it. So
that's really great. That's really great.
Thank you.
You deserve that support.
Thank you. I'm starting to realize that, even though you just said that right now. And I'm like, now. All right. So we want to tell you how to get a hold of us. If you want to send us an email, please do. We'd love to hear from you so that you can see and validate and appreciate us and that we can see and validate and appreciate you.
Yes.
We want to be a community here as much as we can. So our email is h2b, so the letter H, the number 2, the letter B, terrible@gmail.com, h2b terrible@gmail.com. On Instagram, we're at Enfant Terrible, which is at Terrible Daughter Pod.
On YouTube, it's the same. So it's also Enfant Terrible and at Terrible Daughter Pod. So you can find us there. It's the same thing. So
okay. Cool. And then TikTok, we're at How to Be a Terrible Daughter, at H2B Terrible, but without the pod. Yeah. And we just want to say that if you are going low contact or no contact with your narcissist parent, or even if you're just trying to deal with a narcissist in your life and they are accusing you of this, that, or the other thing, the best thing you can do and the way to really reclaim your power and to just stop them dead in their tracks because they won't have anything to say is just be the villain. Be the villain in this story. You're right. I am a terrible daughter. I'm a horrible, ungrateful daughter who never did anything for you.
Never did anything right.
And I never did anything right. So we just encourage you, be the villain. Thank you for listening. We'd be so grateful if you'd follow or subscribe and rate and review our podcast on your favorite podcast app.
Make sure to share it with friends, family, or anyone that you think may benefit from this content.
And as a final reminder, you are not the crazy one.